Good afternoon, everyone. It is Friday, and we are here with our fabulous Walworth County Extension Office Master Gardeners. And today it is book time in the garden, and our gardeners are going to give us their wonderful selections and favorites. So join us. Don't forget, you can ask questions and join in the post, and they're always looking for plants or gardening questions that might stump them. So take it away, Julie.
Thanks, Michelle. Hi, everyone. My name is Julie Hill. Happy Friday. I am a staff member with the University of Wisconsin Division of Extension, and I'm a horticulture outreach specialist for Walworth and Rock counties. And I have Sue here, a master gardener from Walworth County. And we are happy to join you every Friday. We cover different gardening topics. And like Michelle said, this week we're going to be talking about books in a little bit. We have some fabulous book recommendations for you. Before we get to that, I am going to just go through a little bit of information. A lot of times in this program, we talk about the information we use to share. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about why that's credible. But first, I want to say a big thank you to Aram Library for hosting us every week. We love providing gardening advice and answering your questions. Post them in the comments. I will post my email address so you can contact me directly too. If you miss a program, that's okay. It's wonderful that in Facebook world, all of the videos are posted on Aram Library's website on their Facebook page. So you can go back to previous videos and check them out. We've done talks about tomatoes and growing tomatoes and about lawn care and about pests and different diseases and all sorts of different topics. So again, I'm with the Division of Extension, and it's really my job to help connect all of you with all of our resources and information from the university, and there is a ton. So I help kind of navigate that and help connect you with what you need to know. So if you're looking for a plant to be identified, or if you're looking at like, what's wrong with this plant? What's this white stuff growing on it? Or whatever the question is, that's how we are here to help. And the Master Gardeners are a big part of that. So kind of in this absence of us being out in the communities at our regular events and programs that we would normally do, we're using this Facebook medium to connect with all of you and answer your gardening questions. And Master Gardeners love to help all of you become better gardeners. That's really their job, is to help their own skills and build your skills for better gardening and more successful gardens. They do complete annual certification requirements, and that includes volunteer service and continuing education. So I always say that Master Gardeners are lifelong learners, and they really are. They love to learn. They love to learn new things and how to do things differently. And that's why we're going to share some book recommendations with you later too. Okay, so we talk a lot about from the university and from my position as a staff person and the Master Gardeners about we use university-based information. So what does that even mean, and why is that important? Well, in our current world, we can Google and use the internet for everything, and I love it. I Google all the time. I'm on the internet all day long for my job. But it's really about where to find reliable information that I want to talk about today, because it's important, because any one of us can post something on the internet and it can be shared and used and all over the world. And how do you know you're finding something that's actually truthful and reliable? So my first tip for you today is to be really critical of any information you find on the internet. Examine each site, who's writing it, where is it coming from, what type of site is it? And I'm going to show an example too in a little while about kind of how to do that. You can check the credentials of the author. So if you're reading an article or something online, who wrote it and what are their credentials? Is it just somebody that's writing it, or do they have a lot of experience and knowledge about the topic that you're reading about? This doesn't just go for gardening or horticulture topics. This goes for anything you're looking up on the internet. And really check out the purpose of the site. What's the website for? Is it really to kind of educate people, or is there some sort of propaganda or something that they're selling, or is it just their opinion on something? There's good and bad websites out there. So I usually kind of start using a few of my favorite ones, and I'll share those with you. And when I'm doing my internet searching. I usually check, this is especially true for gardening things. I usually check the University of Wisconsin first, so I can show you how to do that. And we can also use other university sites or other extension sites. And I usually just stick with the upper Midwest. If I see something from like California or Texas or Florida, it may not really apply depending on what it is. So it's really important to kind of use university information that's from our same climate. And admittedly, University of Wisconsin is not going to have everything about gardening topics. They have a lot, and they have a lot of great fact sheets, and they have a lot of great information from the Learning Store and things that you can view for free online, but they're not going to have everything, and that's okay. So we can use some other websites to help us with our research. And also contact us and contact your local library. Librarians are reference machines. They know exactly how to look up things. They are great resources for all of us. And you can contact me if you have a specific question about your plant or gardening or us master gardeners. Or using this program every week. So definitely reach out for help if you have a question. So let's Google it. I'm going to just show you some screenshots of an example just to show you kind of the difference. And again, Google's great. It is a machine for searching things. So if we did a search for how to grow tomatoes, you can see here that 92 million results came up. I don't think any of us have the time to look through 92 million results. And you can see that there's some top videos that came up. I haven't even heard of these sites, but you'll see some YouTube videos that usually come up when you do a search. And these are kind of the top 5 results. The Spruce, I know, is a popular website. It comes up a lot when I do searching, or Good Housekeeping. There's an Almanac site, and these are all some .com sites. So when I do a search, I might type in my search words of how to grow tomatoes, and I do a couple different things. I'll check University Wisconsin, and just by putting in those 2 keywords, I automatically come up with some University of Wisconsin resources. These PBS ones use University of Wisconsin specialists and educators to give talks. So those are those videos. You'll also see from the results, you'll see some things from the Wisconsin. You'll see this .edu extension. So, or you'll see this .com one, but this links to our Learning Store, which is an actual publication for homegrown tomatoes for Wisconsin. So again, just by kind of narrowing down the search, we're limiting it more to university information, and university information is reliable. It's been researched, it's been peer reviewed, it's gone through a whole process in order to make it publicly available. So we know that this isn't just information that somebody jotted down and posted on the internet. It's gone through a whole scientific process in order for it to be published. Another trick is you could just put the .edu behind your search word. So how to grow tomatoes and .edu, and then you'll only come up with results that are from university-based or education-based organizations. And now we've down it from 98 million to 17,000. So a lot less results. Again, more credible, more reliable. You know, you're getting good information and good advice. And that's really what we want to share with you, is how to look for resources and how to find that good information. Okay, we're going to switch gears a little bit because we do love to read. Includes gardening books of all sorts of different kinds. So we did want to share some of our top choices that we encourage you to look for in your local library system. So Sue, what are your top picks?
Well, my top picks are the Straw Bale Gardening by Joel Karsten. And he not only shows you how to do straw bales, condition them all the way from the beginning and all the way back and down to the end, but he also shows you some really good gardening tips even without that straw bale. So he's giving you more information than just with straw bales. He's giving you nutritive information for your garden. He's also showing you how to do special things, how to tie things up that are a little bit more different than what you think of. Another book that I absolutely adore, and I'm always referring to it, it's been earmarked several times, is Landscaping with Native Plants of Wisconsin. This book I have read from cover to cover, purely because it threw me back into the history of Wisconsin and through the geographical history of Wisconsin, that is. And it showed me why some areas are driftless area and some of them are not driftless area. What happened during that time? That also gave me a good background on why things are, there's different areas. That also means then with the different areas and how that sediment all settled, it also gives you an idea about how the soils are so different. And that's very important when you want to plant those native plants of Wisconsin. Planting with native plants from Wisconsin are a good way to do that because they are the plants that have tried over and over again to survive the heat of the summers, along with the cold winters that we get here sometimes. Many other plants just don't make it here for those reasons, because we have such varying degrees in our plant systems. Another book that I have earmarked very much so, and I haven't had a chance to read this one cover to cover. I've only managed to read a few pieces of it because it is so big. It is a huge textbook. It's about 1.5 to 2 inches thick. And I know that many other gardeners have got it on their bookshelves. And by the way, these are just my top 4. I have about 3-4 bookshelves full of gardening books. I'm always looking for more books to read, especially pertaining to gardens, because this is what I like to do in the wintertime when I'm watching the snow blow outside. I like to go looking in those books and trying to learn more information, so I'm armed and ready to go come spring. The book that I'm telling you about, though, is The Garden Insects of North America. It's by Whitney Cranshaw and David Shetler. And this book is really cool. It's got pictures in there and that you actually see out in the field. And that means out in your gardens, out in your garden beds, out on the trees, anywhere you can think of where you might see an insect, it's in there. And so it will give you the reasons why it is that kind of an insect. It will also labels them as to how you saw the damage. Is the leaf chewed on the edges? Has the leaf been skeletonized? That means that all of the meat on the inside is gone, but not the veins. It gives you so much more information in there. It also tells you the insect life of that particular insect, along with how you can deter it from coming and visiting your garden. Now, that book is really big, it's really expensive, and you can't seem to find space for that. Perhaps the next best book is called Good Bug, Bad Bug, and literally it shows you the good bugs and the bad bugs that you may have out there in your garden, and it tells you how you can work with them and how you can introduce those good bugs and deter those bad bugs. And that's a really good brief synopsis about good bugs and bad bugs. And I look at it as well. The cool thing about this book is that it actually stands up. And my granddaughter is starting to look through these books as well now. So she's only 3. So she's really curious about the plant world and the insect world as well. So those are my 4 top books, but I've got so many more. Don't even get me started on cookbooks, because I'm into them too.
Thanks, Sue. And I will post the names of these books with the authors into the comment section so that all of you can look them up, again, using your local library, or if you choose to purchase. I know you can find your favorite source for buying them. I'll say I have the Garden Insects of North America book at home. So every time my 6-year-old finds a bug out in the yard or a butterfly or anything, we have to look it up. And it's great practice to have, hey, let's look it up, which is so important for our kids to know how to do too. I love the idea of good bug, bad bug, because in our yards and our gardens and in our houses even, there's some bugs that really are okay to leave. And there's a lot of bugs and insects out there that are really beneficial. They may hunt other bugs or things like that. So it's really important to kind of leave those beneficial insects. And yes, there's going to be some insects that cause problems, especially those squash bugs that I talked about on my cucumbers and squash. They've all been eaten up by now, but there are some other beneficial bugs out there too. I'm going to share a few more book recommendations that are kind of some of my top favorites. Like Sue, I have more at home, but I just want to pick out a few. The first one I'm going to talk about is the No Maintenance Perennial Garden. And this is written by Roy Diblick. So if you've ever visited Northwind Perennial Farm, just outside of Lake Geneva, that is Roy's place there. And they have a lot of, you can just go and see the gardens. You can go and buy plants there. But I like this book because it also shows you ideas for what to plant. So if you have a space, it gives you some garden scheme ideas. So you don't have to be totally lost about what to choose. It gives you all the plants. It lists all different perennials and talks about all the different types of plants in that book. And also the No Maintenance Perennial Garden is talking about kind of a low maintenance. So having a perennial garden that you're not always constantly having to do things with. You can let it grow and let things fill in and it'll be fine. So that book really talks about that, which is great. I like to grow vegetables, and this middle book, Vegetable Gardening in the Midwest, was published by University of Illinois, so it's really applicable to Wisconsin. I like it because it's really kind of easy to read. I can look up something about cucumbers, and I can go right to the cucumber pages, look up the information that I'm looking for, maybe when to fertilize or common problems or anything. It's really just organized by the crop. It's easy to follow. It's really applicable. It's just kind of a good reference book, but not too academic, not too like in depth, but in depth enough. So it's not confusing or anything like that. And I like to choose a children's book. So we have several children's books at my house about gardening. This is a new one that I just found called Badger's Perfect Garden. The illustrations are beautiful in this book. And it is a really sweet story about how Badger works really hard to plant the perfect garden. So he has his friends help him. They have collected seeds over the whole course of the year. So it shows him having jars and jars and jars of seeds. He and his friends plant perfect little rows that are all lined out and labeled, and everything's been weeded, and it is the perfect garden. And then this huge storm comes and it blows and washes all the seeds away, and Badger is devastated. And I won't give away the ending, but there is a happy ending. So it's a really sweet story, Badger and his friends, and it's really well illustrated and well written for kids. So that's a fun one too. Like I said, I'll post all those in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to email me directly if you have any questions about gardening or anything at all about horticulture or gardening in this area. I'd be happy to hear from you. Thanks, everybody.
So they're just after our little library hearts, aren't they, with all their book recommendations? And I had to go grab one of my favorites that just came in. It's Patina Living. So if you are in a mood to not actually physically garden, you can look at the Patina Living book, which if you're a lavender lover, this particular gardener lives in California, and her roses and her lavender are mind-boggling. So the library is always a great place to check out new gardening books, and also murder gardening books, which is a genre. Did you know that? So thank you once again to Julie and Sue and our fabulous Master Gardener series. You can look at them on our Facebook channel from the past weeks, and we'll be here live next Friday at 12 noon. Have a wonderful and safe weekend, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Hi, everybody.